So here is Fifi, and we are at the Ocala International 3-day event, competing in the 3-star long class, so coming down the center line. I'm always working on straightness with her. You'll see she kind of will, as I come down to the down transition in the trot, she'll kind of shift her hips a little left. And so I lose a couple of marks on straightness for the center line, but it's always a work in progress with her. She's a very sensitive mare, so coming across the center line for her extended trot, she's doing a really nice job here. And sometimes for her tension kind of comes where she gets a little bit kind of off the bit, so a little wiggly in the contact. But she's getting stronger and stronger, so her shoulder ends are getting better. If anything with her, it's also about bringing that pole up and to get her to really kind of sit and push through the hind end. That's always where she's been a bit weak, but the main goal is just to have a nice solid go. So here, shoulder in right, I get a little bit off the line, and I don't quite have enough bend in that angle there, but there was a nice transition down to walk, and she's feeling very relaxed at this moment. I'm always just trying to get her to seek the contact and to go out and up, coming into the halt, almost square. And it's really important that you kind of show the halt. It has to be at least 3 seconds long. So sometimes that feels like forever. You see when I asked her to back up, she kind of like grabbed the bit and stuck her nose out a little bit. So I lost a couple of points there. But she's really good here in her extended walk. I feel like I can really ask her to push out without any risk of a jig or anything like that. And then I work to go into a medium walk, still trying to keep the activity, and then coming into the canter. That was better for her. Sometimes she looks like she'll put in a trot step or two just because she's a little weak, but now our medium canter. And you can see she gets a little wiggly, so I'm just trying to say, hey, come get on the contact, step through. And there she does a really nice 10-meter circle. And now coming across the diagonal for the canter walk. This used to cause her a lot of anxiety, but she really tries hard. She does a really good transition to walk there. Maybe lost a little bit of straightness picking up the right lead, but I was really pleased with how well she sat into that transition. So now into our second 10-meter circle. And all things considered, she's been very good because this has been the same test we've kind of done all season long. So sometimes it works for horses when they know where they're going. It can create relaxation, and then for others it can cause a little bit of anxiety. But so she got a little bit up and down there, kind of anticipating that canter walk, and then you see she gets a little bit like in that contact. I got to fix it there as I'm asking for the down trot. And so then we go into a left half pass, and she's so good at going sideways. I made the mistake of just not going. So there you'll see the haunches would go and they would trail, and they would go and they would trail. And that's just where I needed to just ask her to stay on the line and do a half pass instead of trying to make it to the mark where I wanted. So see, this half pass is a lot more consistent in the bend. If anything, she's a little low in the pole, but again, that's going to come with her the more confidence she gets. And that comes from her feeling like she's strong enough to be able to do it. So now the stretchy trot, which she really likes. I thought she did this really lovely. And then preparing to come down the center line for our final halt. Overall, I was really happy. It was a very workmanlike test, and she scored a 33.9 to put us in 6th place. So then on to cross country. And because this is a long, which that means that the distance is a bit longer that we have gone. So this is the test of fitness. So for this course, it was around 4,000 meters and the optimum time was 8 minutes. So this is the longest she will have ever galloped. And as we know, Fifi is really fast. She's kind of a pedal to the metal type of horse. But I was really pleased at how well she was galloping. She was kind of galloping a lot more correct. I've had to really work on her to relax and try to rate her speed a little bit without her thinking that I'm kind of nitpicking or taking control of her. So she jumped those really great and out of rhythm. Right now I'm coming to a big ditch and wall. You won't be able to see because it's in the tree line, but she jumps that no problem. And she has such a fantastic gallop. But again, just trying to keep the lid on and keep her relaxed. Heading to fence number 6, which is a roll top. And then you see that land bridge there that did cause some problems for some horses. So you'll see I really try to dial her down here because the thing about Fifi is she's fast, but she does need to have the time to be able to read these questions. So she absolutely did not spook at going through that tunnel, and there was a skinny that you saw me pop over that backside, and she was very keen and no problem about it, very brave about that. So that made me feel really good about the ride. And coming here to a table off the turn, really good shot, jumps that fantastic. So now coming to the water combination. And again, I want her to slow down so she can just be able to take that breath and be able to read what she needs to do. And then it's just about supporting her and kind of staying out of their way. And she's reading corners now really well. I dealt with confidence issues with her with corners for a while, but I think we might be coming out near the end of it because she was feeling really, really good. And then have another table that I'm coming to here. Getting a little bit close, but you see she's so careful. She's making sure she's not going to touch it. And then if anything, she's such a careful horse. That's just where I've had to take the time to really build up her confidence and so she can believe in herself. And my job is just to support her and not really get in her way. So that's really what I'm trying to do. So coming to the coffin here, I'm really going to dial her down, stay back, have a slow coffin but powerful canter. And she just pings through that very easily. And she's so fast too. You'll see as soon as she lands, it's like she's up and going back at speed again. Sometimes you feel like you're going to get left behind her because she's just so willing to go. And now I'm coming to this next pimple question. So there's some jumps that were on 2 hills here. So I really, again, had to bring her back down. And what you can't see is there's a right-handed corner off on a left bend. And she did it beautifully in the 5 stride. Really read it well. We have a little bit of gallop time here, and it's just so nice to finally feel her galloping in a nice shape and not feeling so frantic and starting to relax a little bit. And especially with this being her first 3-star long, and it's really going to be an education with her fitness-wise and going a little bit longer. So we had a combination through those trees there, and now we've popped up and gonna jump this table. Jumps that beautifully, and another turn to a little bit of terrain here with a log, 3 stride to another ramp, and then there's a little bit of ground there. So with this being Ocala, it's fairly flat, so they have to try to incorporate terrain somehow. but I was really pleased with how she was feeling. And coming now to another just single fence. It's still fairly vertical, so you need to respect it enough. Don't want to come into that too fast. And she's just a motor. And the one thing about her is she has to learn to start to rate, which she's actually starting to do, and not just think she has to go to Mach 5 every time we go. But I looked down at my watch, and optimum time was 8 minutes, and I was like, okay, we're going to start cruising a little bit more. So coming into this water here, jumps in really nicely. And this was pretty much the last big question on course. We still had a couple more things. You never want to take anything for granted when you're out on cross country. You know, always being supportive and making sure I have my leg position where I want it. Coming up to another pimple fence. I think we ended up having like 6 pimple jumps, what I call them, on the course. And now second to last fence. She's really jumping really well and in herself. And she really felt like she's just trying so hard. And I look down at my watch. We've got plenty of time here. I'm just going to let her cruise to the last fence. And she was fantastic. We had a double clear round to move into third place. So coming into the show jump, she felt like she recovered beautifully after the cross country. And so now I'm just giving my salute to the judges. And she's a very careful mare. All season long, I've only had 1 rail on her. So coming to the first fence here, she jumps that fantastic. And the thing about Fifi again is she likes to come in with a little bit of pace to stuff, especially in the show jump. And jump this oxer, and this is a bending 8, and I felt like I had a good enough gap here to that vertical, but she just caught it with the hind leg. Every now and then we will catch a rail on a vertical, and then I come and I put her at the base of that oxer, and she just jumps the stew out of it for me. And then we're back into a little bit of jump off mode, which is kind of how she likes to do her show jump rounds. And you'll notice she does like to kind of flick her head up, and I don't have the running on her right now. And she does her own thing, I found. If I just trust her a little bit, she comes through this triple, jumps it beautifully, and stays nice and relaxed to the last fence. So we just had the 1 rail and ended up finishing 4th, but super proud of her in her first 3-star long.